First rule of order we're gonna be getting into. I have had this saved in my my list for a minute. Before we get into Hightail, I've wanted to react to this video, try to pump out a YouTube video out of this, you know? Dude, Talking Hat is one of my favorite YouTube channels of all time. I always put them on before I go to bed at night, and I fall asleep to watching this guy's videos. But I have not watched this one because the Cartel low-key scares me. The Cartel is like something that is like, I'm convinced they are not fucking human. Anyways, Talking Hat, the most painful cartel deaths ever. Most painful deaths.
Peanut butter.
The peanut butter incident.
On a calm, breezy morning in Mexico City, the day's peace would be interrupted by the disturbed screams of a man tied to a pole. But you're probably wondering how he got here in the first place. Earlier that month, he had been accused of committing an unthinkable crime to a local woman in the city.
Right.
Word of his actions spread quickly, angering friends, families, and other
Queso, if he was skinny and not from Arkansas. I didn't even know Queso was from Arkansas. That's such a Queso place to be from.
locals until
You
a
heard about
notorious
this?
Mexican gang caught wind of the story. For them, justice would not wait for courts and police. They tracked the man down, ripped him out from his house, and dragged him out into the open. They grabbed his hands and bound him tightly so that escape was impossible. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the gang pulled out a tub of peanut butter and began to slather it on his... The man became confused, because while covering somebody in peanut butter is a pretty strange punishment, it's not necessarily painful. However, his confusion would quickly fall into dread when the men brought out two huge pit bulls. He immediately realized what they were trying to do and began pleading for mercy. However, his cries were drowned out by the growls of the snarling dogs. When the animals were unleashed, panic surged through the alleged criminal as he screamed for help. The punishment unfolded brutally. It was a slow spectacle of pain and humiliation.
Nah, because, dude, that is, like, fucking foul. And the only reason I say that is pit bulls aren't inherently aggressive. They're bred to be aggressive. Like, they were the most used dog for, like, dog fighting and stuff like that. But for dogs to, like, rip a dude's nuts apart just because it has peanut butter on it, they have to be trained to do that, if that makes sense. Because any dog that I have ever seen in my life eat peanut butter has never bit whatever they were eating peanut butter off, if that makes sense. They're always just licking it off. So pause. So the fact that this guy was like, hey, yo, we got to train the dogs to eat nuts, bro, is crazy to me.
On deaf ears as locals pretended like nothing was happening. By the time the dogs were pulled back, the man was left broken in a way that couldn't be fixed. The point was made clear. The gang had delivered their brand of justice and sent an unforgettable message that'll live on in the heart of Mexico City for years. Vile acts against the vulnerable.
Also, I want to Google something together real quick. Are there main arteries in a man's nuts? Yes, men have main arteries supplying blood to the testicles, primarily the testicular artery, also known the internal spermatic artery. So I don't really want to Google the next question I want to know because I'm already cringing, but I imagine this guy probably bled out pretty fast. If he survived, dude's a goat.
Vulnerable in this city will not be.
Oh my god, that makes me fucking squirm.
49. On May 12th, 2012, a man in Cadereyta, Jimenez decided to step out of his home for a quick beverage. The evening was warm and calm. It was the kind of night where nothing out of the ordinary was really expected. As the man walked along the highway, the dim lights cast long shadows across the road.
The 49.
Out of nowhere, the man would stumble
You
across
ain't the only
what
one.
sort of looked like a strange log just lying to the left of the pavement. He barely paid it any mind, stepping past it.
Okay.
Moments later, he saw another one, then another, with each log carrying a foul, nauseating stench that clung to the air. The smell was strong enough to stop the man from walking any further. Confused, he decided to inspect the objects. He crouched closer, squinting at the twisted shapes in the dark.
It's shit.
What at first looked like a bunch of discarded stick bundles on the highway slowly revealed themselves as something far more horrifying than expected. The man recoiled in terror. They weren't logs. They were human bodies. 49 bodies scattered across the road. They were men and women, stripped of their dignity. Each of them were missing their heads, hands, and feet. The mutilation was so precise and brutal that it was nearly impossible to tell who they once were.
Dude.
Some of the people were stuffed into plastic bags, and others dumped carelessly onto the roadside. The man's breath quickened as his mind struggled to process the scale of what he was seeing. A sense of dread swept over him as he realized he had stumbled upon a... In that moment, the silence of the night felt oppressive. The road transformed into a grotesque stage of terror.
Dude, like, what do you do in that
Later,
situation?
authorities would confirm what many feared. This was the work of Los Zetas, one of Mexico's most violent cartels. The bodies were left as a chilling message in an ongoing war for control of smuggling routes into the United States. By dawn, the site was swarmed with police and soldiers with their flashlights cutting through the dark
fucking
as they
crazy,
documented
bro.
the carnage.
Can I just say something real quick? This is probably gonna make me sound like really, really uneducated. And on the chance that it does, I really don't care. Like, call me stupid. How are gangs, like, how do they survive? You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about 49 mutilated bodies, not just dead bodies. I mean, dead bodies, just anybody dying from another human obviously isn't a crime in itself. But we're talking about 49 different bodies that were so mutilated that this guy that was kind of sleepy, probably was going for a walk, for a drink, whatever, was seeing these and thought that they were bundles of sticks at first. But then the smell and everything, which I don't even want to get into because I have a buddy that's in law enforcement and he's told me about what it smells like for like, he explained it, but there's no way to actually explain it until like you actually smell it. But like the smell of like a dead body or like decomposing body or whatever is just something you cannot explain. It's terrible though. 49 mutilated bodies. How does any military not get involved with a gang? Do you know what I mean? Like, because like on the surface, like I'm not like discrediting gangs. Like I know that they have like tons of weapons and stuff like that, but like how, like what point does a gang get so much recognition that everyone's heard of them in the surrounding area that they're the most active in, and some form of military doesn't come in and just wipe them out, you know? Because, like, I don't, again, could sound very uneducated, but I don't see a gang having more resources than a military. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, at that point, they would kind of be the military in their own fucked up sense. In what point does a very popular gang get stomped on by a military force? You know what I mean? 49 dead bodies that are bludgeoned, and police are like, yep, it's the gang. It's the gang. What are we going to do? You know, like police, I understand because like police do have significant less resources than military, but like military has fucking tanks and shit, bro. Just blow their fucking operations up, you know? Cartel has almost over 180K members. The military is even afraid, like the Argentinian or Brazilian, something like that. Yeah, but like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, do they also have military grade weapons? Do they have like UAVs and fucking airships and stuff? Like how, like, I don't get it. Like, I know, like, 180K is a lot of fucking people. Don't get me wrong. But, like, for the fact that, like, to me, the way that I'm interpreting this story right now is that the police found 49 bodies, and they're probably not going to be able to do shit about it. So they just get 49 people died for nothing, and nothing's going to happen. They have gators to feed your ass. Yeah, but the gators are not surviving a fucking bomb. And I don't mean to sound like a fucking, like, typical American just, like, bomb everything. But, like, dude, like, unless you tell me that some, like, gangs have, like, tanks and, like, bases that are, like, thousands of feet underground, I just feel like there's probably a way to stop them.
Perpetrator of the tragedy, Daniel Jesus Elizondo Ramirez, more formally known as El Loco, of wars like these. And if there's one thing that's true about these conflicts,
I don't know. This is one of the reasons I never want to go to Mexico.
Have to pay. May their souls rest in peace. The Ghost Rider Incident.
The Ghost Rider Incident.
CJNG is one of the most powerful and dangerous cartels in Mexican history. The United Cartels is a coalition that was formed in opposition to their control. And on a sweltering afternoon deep in cartel territory, a notorious man known as the Ghost Rider, in allegiance with the United Cartels, would find himself in the grip of one of Mexico's most feared criminal organizations. You see, Ghost Rider got his peculiar name from his horrific reputation. He was known for setting his victims ablaze and leaving them out in the open to be discovered. However, now that he was captured and surrounded by the CJNG, his fate became sealed long before cameras even started rolling. This cartel was not content with simply eliminating a rival. They wanted to cast
it's fucked up nonetheless,
of each and every one of their enemies. And in their eyes, Ghost Rider's nickname provided the perfect stage for humiliation. The camera steadied on him as members of the cartel mocked the moniker he had carried. And then with a calm and chilling demeanor, they doused his face in accelerant and struck a flame. What followed was a spectacle designed not just to eliminate, but to terrify. The man's face ignited in an instant. Flames began dancing across his skin, consuming the man's head until it became unrecognizable. Bound and helpless, his muffled cries pierced the silence as the cartel stood by, watching. The man could no longer see, and his head now resembled nothing but a skull. But horrifically enough, he was still screaming. This terrible sight, paired with his nickname that once gave him power in the criminal underworld, had been twisted into a cruel, barbaric joke. The man had literally become the Ghost Rider, just in a very wicked sense. The video of the savagery spread across the dark corners of the internet, where CJNG often showcased their brutality. And for those who stumbled upon the footage,
that's fucking
the sight was
crazy.
unforgettable. A man was transformed into a symbol of suffering and humiliation, and that symbol would unfortunately outlast his legacy.
Quick warning, this one is nightmare feel. Okay, hold on, I need to rewind. The ball
Panic
incident.
surged through the city as word spread of the grisly discovery made inside of the bag. In Los Mochis, police chased down reports of red-stained sacks dumped all over the town. Each one revealed another part of a human body, like some sort of sick, twisted treasure hunt. Inside one bag was a torso, in another bag were severed limbs. But the true horror that shocked the city came from a janitor cleaning the front of a city hall. While doing his job, he stumbled across a sports bag, but when he went to pick it up, a soccer ball bounced out of it. As it rolled over, the ball revealed that it was stitched with human skin. A man's face was pulled tight over the leather with its lips sewn shut, and a note beside it read, "Happy New Year, because this will be your last." In early January 2010, a 36-year-old man named Hugo Hernandez had mistakenly crossed into Sinaloa cartel territory. While they were in the midst of one of the bloodiest cartel wars in history against the Juarez, they immediately abducted the man, tied him to a chair, brought out a chainsaw, and well, the rest was history. This is just one of the hundreds of thousands of civilian casualties in this non-stop war. The violence is so bad that reporters and journalists stopped reporting on it because they too were brutally.
Dude, that's fucking insane, bro. The Funky Town incident.
The cameras begin rolling, and then the footage adjusts.
And that last story is exactly why, like, I want to travel. That is a very big goal of mine. I want to travel the world. I want to see. I obviously want to go to Japan. That's like my number one be-all place that I want to visit once before I die. But I also want to see, like, I want to see all the countries. I want to see all the different. I want to see all the different cultures. I want to see all the different food. I want to see all the different places. But Mexico is never going to be on one of those. And it's not even me being like the word, but I genuinely, that guy died from stepping into the wrong place. And yes, there probably is guides and tourist guides and stuff that will be like, yo, you don't want to go here. You don't want to go here. I'm just going to skip it altogether.
The scene is set on a man bound with
Mexico and Brazil, especially the favelas, are possibly cartel active.
hands
I just
and legs tied by extension
don't want
cords.
anything to do with it.
As the camera focuses more, it becomes clear that the man is most certainly not alive.
Right.
His face is missing, and so are his hands and eyes. However, in sheer impossibility, the man begins moving violently. The camera slightly pans over to the side, and there it becomes apparent that these cartel members hooked the man up to a substance to pump his adrenaline and keep him wide awake and aware. Because of this, it is impossible for the man to pass out. And that's when it starts. The cartel members pull out a knife and stick a metal pole in the man's mouth in an effort to silence him. What happens next is simply just too horrific to mention on YouTube, so out of respect for this man's life and to protect your mental security, I'll skip over it. All you need to know is that they began playing a game with the man's throat while pumping him with substances to keep him alive. The best thing I can compare this to is if you were to undergo surgery and one of the operating doctors forgot to give you anesthesia, which, by the way, is just a medical treatment that typically makes you unconscious and unaware during painful surgeries. Normally in a case like this, you'd shoot up in extreme pain, but since you're restrained, the agony would just cause you to pass out on the operating table. Now imagine if the doctors were also injecting you with some type of liquid that prevented you from passing out and kept you wide awake, to watch what they were doing to your body in complete horror.
That's what I'm talking about. And your body can naturally produce adrenaline, bro. That shit makes no sense to me, bro. The human body is disgusting to me. It's literally disgusting. Like, your body, obviously, it can be manipulated, is basically what I'm trying to say.
That's pretty much what happened.
Dude, that's
and after the men were done, the video would finally end. But shortly afterward, another video in the same room would surface. In it, you can see the same men playing soccer with the victim's head, kicking it back and forth to each other in efforts to catch it. What makes this incident as horrific as it is isn't the sheer brutality of their actions. When the men were carrying out this atrocity, it's heavily noted that they would be talking to each other, calm and casually, as if it were another Tuesday morning at their shift. All the meanwhile, a popular 80s hit would play in the background, striking a mind-boggling contrast between their gruesome acts and the fun and enjoyable disco song. The song is called Funky Town by Lips Incorporated, And chances are you've probably already heard this
Like
song
Funky Town,
countless
bro?
times when you were young. When I was a child,
me to
this was a
Funky-
song they
you know?
played for me at Chuck E. Cheese and
Funky
at school
Town.
festivals. And now,
Why
my
don't you
memories
take
of this
me?
fun and stupid disco song are tainted by the actions of the wicked.
That's
The
insane,
warmth,
bro.
security, and luxuries we have today were not built on the morals of the evil. They're built by those who dare to be inspirational instead of evil. They're built by those who sacrifice themselves to protect their country. They're built by good men and women who figured out that love is stronger than wickedness. Be a good person to the world, your neighbors,
Facts.
and most importantly, to yourself. And as usual, don't search any of these videos up. Be safe and have a happy day, lads.
Facts. W video. That's crazy though. No, that's honestly like, don't get me wrong. I would be scared to die in that last story that they literally were pumping him full of adrenaline so that he would feel it. But I don't even think, I think what gives the cartel the I don't even want to say aura. I don't want to say aura because that's fucked up to say, but I think what scares me the most about the cartel is the casualness about the cartel members. Like he was just explaining, like the video was showing them playing soccer with a human head. Brother, do you know, like, and this is not me because like I'm a very firm believer that like all humans are created equal. But the amount of evil that produces from a human like that and what they've been through, to think that that's just like another Tuesday activity, you know, like they are so desensitized to life itself that nothing probably holds any value to them. The oxygen, the beer, the food that they eat, like the luxuries that they have, like nothing probably has any value to them. And that is honestly, in my opinion, what's the scariest about the cartel, is because like if nothing has value to them, you genuinely cannot be scared of anything. And you know, you always hear that when you're a kid, is like people are like, I'm not scared of anything. Or you might hear like a cringy 40-year-old say that, like, I'm not scared of nothing. Yes, you are, bitch. Don't lie. I'm scared of needles. I'm pretty scared of heights when it gets to like really, really high heights or whatever. And then you got these motherfuckers like, I'm not fearful of anything. I genuinely believe there are certain cartel members that are so deranged and so desensitized to anything that could happen in life that they aren't scared of anything. I don't think they are. That's what makes them scary. Those motherfuckers are the ones that are scary. Yeah, W video. I was gonna say something else. I don't remember what else I was gonna say.